turn them on. And they're really sensitive to facts.
Vacancies.
Here we go. Okay, my lights up. Good. Now black shows up.
Great.
Okay.
Should be the thing where only when we're speaking or all the time.
See Mel.
I'll put this up here in case he shows up.
Oh, we got.
Oh, okay.
I just know they go by pretty
Huh?
dang quick.
Expecting this to run on.
No. He's at a training session. for training
Ours
officers.
is-
Okay,
Is the county bar?
has everybody that's new been sworn into office? Has everyone gone into the clerk and got their swearing in or swearing at? Okay.
That's later.
Even if you are, even if you have served on the commission before, you will need a new oath of office.
Well, if your term was up at the end of December.
Yes,
That's correct. If
Yes.
you've been reappointed or new appointee, you need to do you have to take an oath of office. So if you've already done that, if not, I know the deputy is in and she'll be glad to take care of that after the meeting. So, okay. With that, as noted on our agenda, because this is an organizational meeting to start out with, then I get the privilege of starting this meeting, and I'll start it in about 20 minutes. I am really tired. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Unless you object, I've taken a silent roll call, so I know who's here. We'll take it from there. Mr. O'Noon is absent. He is at a training session for drain commissioners. And I did not hear from Mr. Black, so we'll take it from there. Welcome to new members. Ms. Benedict, and let's see, we have Ms. Benedict, Mr. Carpenter. The rest of you already know, but why don't you other three go ahead and introduce yourselves to deserve.
Keith Badoo, Veronica Valley,
Okay,
last time.
well, no, you're just Keith Badoo right now.
All right.
Commissioner.
That works for me.
Okay,
John Walter, Frank Event,
okay,
Charlie Godbout, former chair.
okay. Well, first of all, thank you to the two, Mr. Carpenter and Ms. Benedict, for your dedication and willing to serve on this board, and we'll glad to have you here. Just so you know that the commissioner appointments probably will not take place until the 21st of this month at the latest. So they will be joining us next month. And as it relates to the planning commission appointment, we got to wait till they meet and assign someone to this board. So we're still 3 short at this point. So we'll take it from there. First of all, you have the agenda. I would ask for a motion for the approval of the agenda. Okay.
Support.
All during support. All those in favor say aye.
I just realized we want these things on, right?
I don't care.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're on. Now
Okay,
they're-
and as a reminder, if you have cell phones close, please keep them as far away from the mics as you can. They kind of like to be an interference.
Or silence it totally.
Or size of totally, that would be nice too. Next item is anybody have a conflict of interest that, any items that are on the agenda, please so state. Okay, we do not. All right. Next is our annual organizational items, which is primarily the first 2 items or first 3 items. After that is more or less updates or. I'm just trying to figure out what all I put in here last go. Anyway, here's our organizational items. First of all, we have a selection of the chair. The way it works, I will accept a nomination from the floor for someone to be, to be chair. You do not have to second that nomination. Then we have, then I'll open it again for any other nominations, and we'll just do that. Then I'll take it back, and hang on a second, then I will take it back, and I'll go with the first nomination, whoever gets the form, or the most votes going through that order will be so selected. Okay, so do I hear any nominations for the chair?
I nominate Charles.
Okay, we have a nomination, Charles. Any other nominations?
I move the nominations be closed.
You move to be a closed, okay. All right, Charles, it looks like you're gonna bid it again, whether you want it or not. Okay. I gotta put my initials in here or I'll screw this up. I gotta write the minutes later. Hang on. And Mr. Walter closed it. Okay, all those in favor of Mr. Charles Goodbout for chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say likewise. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
I will turn this now over to you.
Sir,
Thank goodness.
thank goodness.
That
Oh,
job.
it was tough getting through that.
I know, it was a misery. Okay.
All right, so now we're gonna have nominations for the vice chair. So at this point, I will open it for anyone wanting to nominate anybody for vice chair of the commission. Assuming I can also nominate someone if I want to. And I can nominate Keith Badoon for vice chair. If he's willing to accept.
Yeah, I'll accept it. As long as you're always here, I'll accept it.
Any other nominations for vice chair? I move the nominations be closed. John Walters moves that they be closed. So nominations are closed. All in favor of Mr. Keith Badoon being the vice chair of the commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Keith Badoon is the vice chair. Secretary's position, this position in the bylaws really doesn't have a lot. You are responsible for essentially the initial review of the minutes. And getting back to Lauren if there's anything incorrect in the minutes of the meeting. So obviously you're gonna be kind of keeping your own minutes as we go, so you'll know what to verify when you get the minutes. And you're essentially gonna keep the records of the commission. We will, according to the bylaws and the administrator, have a recording secretary for our meetings. So the secretary of the commission would not have that responsibility. Currently, Mr. Lewis is being our recording secretary today. So anyone nominations for secretary of the commission?
Don't everyone jump up at once here, folks.
I nominate Rebecca.
Rebecca, we'll make it easy. All you gotta do is read the minutes and say that sounds close enough.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks. Thanks, Steve. I chose this next to you.
Walters closes nominating at this point. Well, he keeps closing. I know, he keeps closing. He doesn't want to be named himself, that's why.
Absolutely.
All right, so all in favor of Rebecca being secretary for the commission? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, approval of the 2025 meeting schedule. It has been it is historic for the last few years that we would meet on the first Wednesday of each month at 3 p.m. That seemed to be problematic at some point. First of all, when we do that, anything we do that needs the Board of Commissioners approval will not occur in the meeting of that same month, but would be the meeting of the following month. So the alternative to having it the first Wednesday of the month is to have it the Wednesday immediately after the Board of Commissioners regular session.
We wrote it in here just to keep it consistent, would be the third Wednesday, which normally would be after the board's regular meeting would take place. There'd be a few times it doesn't. And as for the new members, what I shared was that like this week right now, my focus is not really been on you guys. I have a packet that has to be done for the county commission next Tuesday. And anything you would approve today, I would not be adding to this becoming packet because everything has been set in motion. And then you would have to wait until February, which we don't want to wait that long. So by moving it down a little bit, then we have time to prepare for that next meeting. So the pressure's off for everybody that's here. So that's the reason. So we're just saying, we've got the dates in here when they would be. We would post them for you if you so approve it. But this way, those of you that use electronic calendars, just say the third Wednesday of every month, you're meeting at 3 o'clock, period. You know, there may be a couple of instances where, but it's the next day most of the time. When we're preparing for the regular meeting, it's not nearly as complicated as preparing for the executive session because all that's brand new. So that's for us. It's just staff wise to help make this go smoother.
Do you need a motion?
Items to be put on the agenda for our meeting would be 7 days prior to our meeting is when they have to be submitted to Lauren or the administrator
Yeah.
to start putting the agenda packet together.
Right. So those dates are in here also. So just keep them posted by your telephone, whatever you need to do. So
No, I didn't get a copy of that. I don't know why.
it's in your package.
But that's okay.
You can take a quick look at this one.
So our next meeting would be Wednesday, February 19th. Agenda items submittal would be February 12th.
Is that the third one?
That is the third Wednesday of February.
Can we make a motion to approve this one?
Yes.
You make a motion to approve this 2025 meeting schedule. One thing we did put on here, we also put in here the 2026 organizational meeting, which would take place on January the 7th in 2026 to set that up. So
No, the meeting would be January 14th. The agenda packet on the 7th.
oh yes, I'm sorry, my apologies. So it'll be on January the 14th. That way it's already scheduled. And then you can determine a new schedule at that point. My apologies.
So I have a motion for accepting this meeting schedule as presented here. So do I have a second? Second.
Support.
And Mr. Gadoon, second that motion?
Okay, who made the motion?
Mr. Walter made the motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walter.
All in favor of the motion to have our meeting on the third Wednesday of each of the months next year, during this year, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have our meeting set. Okay, 2025 Park Commission Standing Committee appointments. You were gonna do some research.
Oh, I am going to do some research. May I suggest that you may want to hold off on this so that we get our two county commissioners on here too, so they can know also. One thing your bylaw says outlines that you are to have a committee appointment. You know, you can have these committee appointments. These appointments are mandatory. These committees are mandatory because of the ordinance that created this body. That stated that you had to have these three type of committees. At least as I've shared with some of you, as I've watched for the last 9 months, while the idea of the committees are great and they work well in many cases, but what I have noticed, or at least my impression is, that all of a sudden these committees only stay focused on their particular part, which is nice. But you as a body up here are dealing with the whole. You're not dealing with your individual parts. And this is something I was going to talk to you about a little later. But I would like to bring before the County Board of Commissioners that they remove the mandate that the committees have to be in place out of the ordinance. But if you still want to continue them, that becomes your all's call to make. And you just might want to have a committee on special projects. It's whatever you want to do at that point. But the mandate, I think, is not helping you because we need you to deal with the whole. You're an advisory body only. And your advisory body as it relates to the whole. I'm not saying get rid of it out of your bylaws and your everything like that. I'm just saying, let's take the mandatory part of it out. Then you can choose what you want to do as you're moving forward. But before I do that, I want to get feedback from you if that's okay or not okay.
Well, my personal opinion is the park system is too large if you want to keep abreast of everything that's happening at all three parks. So having the individual park committees keep track of what's going on at the park, what maintenance activities need to be added and done, what, those kinds of things is beneficial. But when we get to the full commission, it takes collaboration and coordination and in a sense of, okay, yes, this is my park, but we have to deal with everything. As long as everybody's got that attitude, the three things work fine.
I'm not arguing that point.
I mean, the other alternative thing is to have designated park advocates who would do that monitoring function and then come in and say, okay, here's, make the individual park report that's in our monthly meeting. I mean, that's an alternative, less formal way of doing it, but again, we're stipulated to have these for now, so let's have them.
Okay. Oh, no, you're stipulated to have it. I'm not, but is it the best idea to have it as a mandate or not have it as a mandate in the ordinance? I have no problem with it, but I just want this body to remember when you're here, you're dealing with the whole. You're not dealing with your individual, what you are assigned to or whatever. The commission is looking, the county commission is looking for you to provide a recommendation, what they should be doing on the whole, just like what you've been doing on your Parks and Rec plan. You're looking at the whole, you're not looking at one. And I just felt like, or it was been perceived from an outsider, that you come in to give your reports and this is mine. And I know Keith, you've said it yourself. We're gonna do it. No, it's not yours. It's all of yours.
It's a great thing you're taking stewardship of the park. Okay?
Okay.
But
this is nothing that I have to do now, but if you want to give it some thought, I'll wait till the others get on here and we can bring it back up again.
yeah,
This is not a critical issue. It's just an observation on my part.
I move that we table this item into our February meeting.
Don't table.
Don't table,
You want to refer.
to the February.
Do not table.
Just keep me, you can be my parliamentarian and keep me honest.
Because if you table, then you have to make a motion to take it off the table. I'm not a parliamentarian, but I know not to do that. I've had clerks that burn me on that one. Okay, is that your motion, sir?
That is my motion. A second.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the motion of deferring, whatever word you use,
Referring.
this item to our February meeting, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on the agenda, Parks and Recreation Commission bylaws review and discussion.
This is in here, again. It's up to you what you want to do on your bylaws, if there's anything you think needs to be changed or amended. So one thing, as we get down to our regular discussion and action items later on, as you noted under the bylaws, there was a section in here for a parks coordinator. And your parks coordinator will be introduced to you here. And then when we get down to the discussion items, then that's going to be Mr. Patrick Roach. So,
One thing that I would like to possibly change in the bylaws is right now it defines the executive committee as the chairperson, the vice chair, and the secretary make up the executive committee of the commission, without any discussion of the individual park committee chairs. I would like to have it revised so that the individual park committee chairs also are part of the executive committee.
Now you have a quorum of the entire body, so you can't do that.
My quorum is 6. I think I've got 5.
But you got the 3, and then you had 3 more, that's 6, you can't do that.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right, thank you.
no. Anytime there are 6 of you in the room, you have a quorum of this body. So,
We'll figure out how to get their input better than when it's budget time and that stuff.
okay.
So anybody have any other items they'd like to discuss about the bylaws as they are in front of us? I know that we tried to change them last year, and it never got fully through the process, and I'm glad that it didn't, because we were moving all of the functions from the administrator's office into the planning department in the bylaws, and now they're back in the administrative department. And for those new members, this commission has been in transition for 2 years now, or 3 maybe, I think, since I came on the board. So we started off with the administrator that we had, and then went to Deb Allen, and Deb switched it, so she wanted the planning department head to do it, and so we've been in transition like everything else in this building for the last 3 years. So,
Yeah, you don't have to do these today, as you folks get around to reading them, and as the next commission members, whoever they get to sign, can do that. Your bylaws can be amended at any time you want, but you kind of give the first go around when you're kind of in a spot like this. So anyway, so okay.
so I guess that put that to bed. Review of the fiscal year 2025 annual budget.
Yeah, I was trying to do this last few minutes, but in your packet, we do have the fiscal year budget that's been approved by the county commission. Couple items that I do want to highlight in here that kind of look like they may be a little bit out of sorts. Let's see here. One is that our maintenance line item got repair and maintenance got increased by $10,000 this last year. As I was going through things, I noticed there was quite a few number of items that probably we want to take more in under the maintenance item. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And so we increased that one. Also, we have in here with the change that we have our facilities director, 1/4 of that person's time is allocated in this budget under the $59,000 and all the business with that are allocated in here. So, that's why that reflects a little higher. But there's one other case. You do have a capital outlay that is $55,000 that we have in here, but we also want to remind you that you have a $110,000 that's being held in a project fund that was the $55,000 that was not spent in 23 and in 24. So it's kind of waiting until you get this plan done, and there'll be a little discussion later on in your agenda here of how you would like to proceed with that. So this is just for your reference.
And I thought that item was 38,000 higher for the purchase of the tractor.
It should have been, and I may have the wrong one in here, but we do have in here the tractor that we are going out for bids on here. We're getting approval to go out for bids starting next Tuesday. So that 55,000 is a little higher because we are buying a new motor type tractor for the park system. So, but the base 55,000 is still there, but it should have included the tractor. So it's my fault that we probably put in the wrong page, but that's kind of where we are. So this is just for your information only at this point.
So 55,000 that's in here for 2025 to move that money from the regular fund, general fund into the reserve account. I'm using the term. We need a motion to move that at what's this point, or we wait until
Let me check with the finance director how they want to do that, because you don't have to do it now, you can do it later in the year. But you know, we may want to take on some other projects that you can use this money first and hold the other money, you know, so we can talk about that further.
And for everybody's information, we've created last year, it's only a year old now, creating this.
So it's not even a year old, I
Not
think we
even-
moved it after I got it, because the idea was, didn't spend it, it wasn't there, but what happens if you don't put it someplace? It's got, once you start a new fiscal year, it all goes back to zero, you don't have anything. And what we were trying to do is find a way to hold on to it, let it sit there till this board and the county commission was ready to take on a major project. So that's why we did it this way, because we weren't ready to do that, and somewhat, we're gonna try to use it as a match for something that you have identified in here that you wanna do. It's there ready to be used, ready to access. So if we decided we want to go out and do X, Y, and Z, and it's gonna cost $220,000, let's say, well, we got $110,000 to match it with. Or you can match it with less than that. The options are open. And this 55,000, we don't have to move it yet, but I will recommend that by the end of the year, if you haven't spent anything, you want to get it moved into that account. As long as you do it by December 31st of 2025, you're okay, so.
I mean, board of commissioners has to move it, so we have a time.
Yeah,
Back
the board
up
of
the time.
commissioners moves it, you don't get to move it.
We don't get to move it,
You
they
can
move it.
request, but you don't get to, you're right.
So,
Okay.
so we changed this so we don't have this use it or lose it
Yeah, and that's what we were
mentality.
trying to avoid, you're correct. Okay,
Review of Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act. We each got copies of those. You can review them at your leisure.
yeah. Anytime you have any questions on it, but just know that anytime you need to be very careful. The Open Meetings Act is not as hard to deal with as, is that anytime that two or more of you meet and you have a discussion, whether you do it by emails, texts, or whatever, and it's considered as a deliberation of action you're going to take, you could be in violation, you could be, and most likely will be in violation of the Open Meetings Act. Any decisions, discussion you want to have toward any project or any ideas or whatever has to happen out here in the open. So I, you know, that is the underlying principle of how government has to work. It's between the Open Meetings Act as well as the Freedom of Information Act. In my years in public service, which has been a very long time, it is in these two little areas that will get an elected body or an appointed body or an individual in more trouble than anything else. So I'm just saying, and under the Open Meetings Act, because you are a public representative, anything that's on your phones, anything can be asked for and has to be provided. So I would suggest that if you haven't got a special account on emails or whatever, you create a special account for emails relating to this body. That way, if someone were to ask, and most emails we can track, it's not a bother, you know, especially if it's sent from here. Just keep it up, because if you get it, I don't foresee it happening. I don't think it will happen, but you just need, those are those realizations that it will happen. And just remember, people come to you and say, I want you to go do this. Fine, I'll bring it to the board. I'll bring it to the board. I'll bring it to the board. Or call so-and-so, look, you know, just what I'm saying. You can't make obligations or anything like that. It's one of those little things you just got to watch for. And the last thing anybody wants to see happen to, especially to someone that's appointees, you know, we don't want you to get burned. It's not worth it. You know, so and it's usually done very innocently. Very innocently. You don't mean to do it. You didn't mean to do it that way. Usually the people that want to do it on purpose will get caught sooner or later. So anyway, that's been my experience. But these are summaries. Read them at your leisure. If you have any questions, you know, just touch base with us. So, take it from there.
My habit on email is I automatically CC Warren and Richard on just about anything I'm sending out dealing with.
That's fair enough. That way we have it someplace. So Okay, so it's not to scare you, it's just to give you a heads up, guys, that's all. Okay.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna open for public comment, so anyone wanting to make a public comment at this time, I'm opening the floor to you. Ask you to come up to the table and speak into the microphone if you're gonna make public comment. Yes, Steve.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Steyer. I live in Empire Township. I'm a founding member of the statewide organization, Michigan Barn Preservation Network, who publishes this calendar every year, and we just passed them out a bit ago. And I'm also a founding member of the Leelanau County Historic Preservation Society. We are the people that have a lease on 2 acres and the barn at Miles Kimberly Park. And we're happy and proud to be an integral part of the Miles Kimberly Park. So welcome.
Any other public comment?
Good afternoon. My name is Bruce Betzler. I am a resident of Cleveland Township. I live in Cedar. And I am a park and rec kind of guy.
Spell your last name.
B is in boy, E-T-Z-L-E-R.
B-E-T-Z-L-E-R.
Z is in zebra, L-E-R. Correct.
Thank you.
Excellent. As I was starting to say, I operate and run a small business called Park Vision. And I work half the time out of my home, and then the other half the time is in Muskegon, Michigan, where the rest of the team is. And I noticed in this last news cycle with the Enterprise, the piece about what was going on at Old Settlers, and the commission was looking at trying to figure out what to do with that gazebo. I have some expertise in that and could provide a little guidance. Was looking for a path to figure out how we can provide you with some additional detail for consideration. We also are the representative for Compan, which is the world's leader in recycled and forward-thinking play equipment and senior and outdoor fitness. So I just want to introduce myself and welcome everybody to the board. Park Vision.
May I? Hello, everyone. My name's Alan Campbell. I'm kind of also a park guy. Guess we're all park people because we're here. And first off, Rich, I want to make sure you got in that stipulation of Keith's as far as assuming the vice chair position. That stipulation that Charles has got to be here at every meeting, that was included, right?
You gotta remember one thing. I'm a short timer. I don't have to remember anything. Due respect.
Oh, it's fine. On the committees, I'd like to talk on a couple of things. One is on the committees, and I understand that, you know, that the overview, that makes a lot of sense for folks here, that you get buy-in to a certain committee, and that's your home park. And what I might suggest, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't, but is actually establishing citizen committees for each of our parks and having them provide input. Put a call out for folks who might want to be involved. There's a lot of people who also consider our parks their home parks. And that would expand the reach, the breadth of the Park Commission, and maybe get you some more input and a lot of volunteers when you did have some type of a project. And I'm probably here way too late because I kind of want to find out about, I don't know if you guys have talked about the February 1st deadline for the trust fund. But my belief is that, and this is just an annual thing, and I know you guys didn't meet last month, but it's not coming up for another year. And within your 5-year plan, there's provisions in 1 year for a walkway at Veronica Valley, and the next year a pavilion. And I think you could yell at me when I get out, don't shake, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
you're starting to get out of your lane at this moment.
I'm way out of my lane. I understand that. I'm trying to
We have a
just,
process of how we go for grants. And it's,
I looked it up and, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna advocate a little bit while I'm sitting
it's
here.
fine.
The deadline is February 1st. I'm not sure if we can get an application in. I know we have someone with expertise. We just finished our 5-year plan. It lines up nicely for a combined grant with the walkway 1 year and this year's 5-year, and this year and the 5-year plan, and next year there's a pavilion. Money doesn't come in till December. So if you applied for both, I think there's enough crossover between the two calendar and fiscal years that might work for both. You're probably going to hear how that can't happen. But as I said, I'm here. Three words come to mind: suspend the rules, as in, if we could get this ball rolling and just see where it goes. And it's not me to ask, but is it possible to put together a grant in that much time?
Mr. Campbell, I've got to advise you, you may be starting to step out of your lane at this moment. And I'm not sure. I don't need you to be in trouble, please, or me to be in trouble.
I'm here advocating for a grant. I mean,
I
honestly,
got it.
honestly,
We're all advocating for a grant, but there's a process and policies that have been adopted by the board.
I
And you will have
understand.
to go through that process unless you as a board give us
Yeah,
direction to go differently.
I'm not talking here as, I'm a commissioner, I guess you probably.
No, you are a commissioner. You don't need to-
I think I did say, Richard, that I am a commissioner.
Yeah, well, you just said I'm not here talking as a commissioner.
I am.
I'm gonna argue with you on this one. You're starting to step out of your lane. I'm trying to tell you not to do that, please.
Anyways, I'm here advocating for that trust fund grant. What you guys do with it is your authority. And
It's not their authority. It's the Board of Commissioners.
it's their authority to make this a decision. And I'm not, just let me talk, okay? And I'll
Not if I think you're running out, you're starting to express something that can't not happen. Now, if you don't like what I'm doing here, Mr. Campbell, you can ask for my resignation anytime you would
oh,
like.
Jesus.
No, I'm serious, sir. If you don't want to hear it, tell me that.
I just want to speak as adults in the same room. That's
I do
all I'm
too.
saying.
I do too, but you have assumed a higher responsibility as a county commissioner. And there is a level there. I'm just trying to advise you, sir, and you don't have to, but if you don't like my advice, that's fine. Talk till you're done. That's fine. It's been put on the record that I've advised you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Anyways, there is a need there, and there is a trust fund, and there is a deadline. So please just consider it, take a look at it. And if it's impossible to do, I certainly understand that. I just know that there's a need. That's all I have to say. That's all I wanted to say.
Anybody else with a couple of comment? Hearing nobody, we'll move over. I need staff comment for this time. We already have yours.
I don't have any comments.
All right, so we're moving on kind of out of the organizational meeting into the last part of our regular type of meeting. So I'm gonna ask for consideration of the September 2, 2024 and November 6, 2024 meeting minutes, which were sent to you. I think you received email as well, as they were here on the table. If you have any comments or changes you'd like to make to those meetings? I had none. I moved to those. Okay. So I have a motion to approve the meetings from those two minutes for those two meetings. Mr. Carpenter has seconded it. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes approved. Unfinished business, we have the administrator's update.
Basically, I want to introduce to you Mr. Patrick Roach. He is our county, because we're going to be working on a couple of things here. We're going to be mentioning.
Hello, everyone.
He is our county facilities director. I think he started about the 1st of November,
Thereabouts.
thereabouts in that ballpark, and he's been sitting there for 2 months, drinking out of 3 different fire hoses. My intent is here for the next 3 months to gear him in more into be taking over that part of your the administrator here. Is still underneath the auspices of the county supervisor. As you also may not know or may not know, Mr. James Dyer will be coming on board as of March the 31st as the county supervisor. And so what we're trying to do is get once again, you're in transition, we got some transitions getting ready to take place too. But we'll get everybody set up and ready to go, but I'll still be engaged for the next couple more meetings, but more and more of it will get turned over to this way as we get it and to try to work it through. So just want to introduce you, and if you'd like to say a couple words, great.
Yeah, I just first want to say really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. To echo some of Richard's comments, we've had a pretty big turnover. So we've had, including myself, we've had 3 new hires, and we lost a legacy director, Jerry Coleman. And so his knowledge was extensive. And so we are trying to bridge the gap the best we can. And we're going to implement some new procedures, maybe some new technology to help us do that in a more efficient way, and maybe provide you guys with a little bit more data so that you can make better and more informed decisions. But we've got a really talented team, and we're really excited about the future.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And my history with working with the maintenance and whatnot, when we just had Scott, and then we had Scott working for Jerry at the time. I mean, essentially, as far as Old Settlers Park, as I went through the park in early spring, wrote up a list of things that needed to be fixed, or I thought needed to be fixed and repaired and all this other stuff. And then I handed it to them and said, okay, can you put this into your work plan? I don't know how you plan to have us do that with you, but I'm looking forward to how we're going to facilitate those kinds of activities at the parks.
A lot of that is still going to come in that fashion. It's just we've got a lot more targets to track. And so because we have a lot more targets to track, we're looking at better ways to manage the flow, get a wider bandwidth, be more proficient with that. And so it'll look a lot like that. It's just the way we manage it with our staff is going to be a lot more efficient, which should create better turnaround times and hopefully a better product.
The other thing, I mean, the 5-year plan that we're just submitting for February 1st, actually, that's the date that plan has to be in, includes an item that we will create a annual maintenance type schedule document for each of the parks, which we would then be able to track the accomplishment of each one of the items on this maintenance plan.
Well, you'll be happy to know that's already in progress.
Okay, that's where I was going.
Already had.
All right.
Yes.
Any other questions for him at this point?
So you'll be seeing him at all of your meetings, and you'll be seeing him out there in the field when we do that. In fact, he's going to be updating you on the demolition of the pit talks here in a few minutes. So what we've done, they're taking the lead on it. So
Yeah, we've hit the ground running.
okay.
Moving on to Parks and Rec 5-year master plan update.
As you know, I never know who knows what, but the county commission at their meeting in January approved the master plan. And on the 14th, we have the resolution ready to be presented for possible adoption. And if everything goes according to plan, we're getting all the minutes put together, because we also have the approved minutes from the December meeting. So on January the 21st, when everything gets adopted, when the resolution gets adopted, we'll have all the documentation ready to be submitted to the DNR, so that our plan is in place and ready to go. So that's the goal that we've been trying to do to complete. I'm not 100% sure when the DNR grant cycle starts. He mentioned a February 1st. The only February 1st is that we needed to get this in there by that date so that we could be eligible for a grant. I keep wanting to remember an April 1st date. And that's what I was remembering, that if we want to submit for a matching grant with them, we have an April 1st date. And I'm not 100% sure, but that's why that February 1st date was so critical for us, because we want to get this into the DNR and get their approval of it so that we can submit the grant. That was the whole timeline that we were going to be doing. So, so we've got time how to do this. So if everything goes according to plan, this will be ready to be sent. We've already got our connection, this all's got to be done electronically. So we've got everything set up so we can submit everything electronically and have it ready to roll. So.
And in order for us to submit a grant, we first have to get the approval of the Board of Commissioners that we be allowed to prepare and submit the grant application.
Correct.
So we have a lead time on that of like a month and a half that we have to get things rolling to meet an April 1st submission date for a grant application.
Yeah.
So that's the schedule I'm working on.
Okay.
Or working with.
Yeah. And possibly, and then we'll talk about that now, because if there's another project that you would like to talk about and you would like to submit, there's a way that you can name that right now without having to do that. We won't get it on for Tuesday, but we could do it as an add-on for the 21st. That would allow us to prepare a grant application for consideration by the board.
Currently, the only project we have on our capital improvement plan that is eligible for a grant is the Veronica Valley Pathways
I
project.
mean, I'll let you all figure that one out.
Tiffany told me the gazebo work is not eligible for any grants of any
And
kind.
I didn't list which plan it is, y'all have to make that choice. I'll leave that to you, so. Okay. So, everything's rolling, just like we would like it to have roll, so. So, I'll do my best to encourage approval of the resolution for the next 2 meetings. Well, I'm hoping to get a 7-0 vote next week, or they'll do 7-0. Then it goes on the consent calendar and we can get it done. So that's what I'm hoping for. Okay.
Demolition of the pit toilets at Miles Kimberly and Old Central Park.
Okay. Why don't you tell, update where we are?
Yeah. So I'll just go over a quick outline and kind of let you know where we're at in the process. The steps are, first we have to remove the buildings, then we can crush the existing pit toilets, the cement and what have you. Prior to all that, in Miles Kimberly, there is a consumer powers meter on one of the buildings. That's a whole process to get that moved. So we are in the middle of that process. We're at we have to submit 3 things to them, and specifically we have to pay them first. Then we have to set up a receiver, set up all the infrastructure to receive that meter, because it's not one unit, there's other hardware. And then finally, we have to get it inspected and send them pictures of all that. So we're on schedule to get that done. Hopefully, they're wrapping up the hardware part in-house. One of our guys, Gary O'Connor, is getting all the hardware in place for that. So I was told by the project manager for consumers that if we can get all those 3 things sent by the 14th, then they can do the move actually around the 30th. Obviously that gets pushed if we're not able to give them everything they need in time, but it looks like we're on schedule for that. We have bids out for the removal of the buildings and the crushing of the pit toilets themselves, the vaults. And I've gotten 2 out of the 3 back. And it looks like we're in a neighborhood somewhere south of about 10 grand.
And all this will be considered as a maintenance item, it will not be a capital.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, the
yeah,
demolition of an existing structure, you're not adding any assets.
No, we're not adding an asset, we're taking it out. The next phase of all that will happen in the spring when you start to build. We talked about it, about building the two concrete pads in order to put the porta-johns on, and discuss this building big enough that we could put 2 handicap type porta-johns there. At least, that way you at least have the option whether you want 1 or 2, but at least it's big enough to serve everybody. So this is one of those items that we've known for quite some time is kind of a risk on our part because of the pits. And I've learned that over at Miles Kimberly, there's only 1 pit, just 2 buildings over the top of that pit. Okay, well, that made that a little easier. But one of the other, and we did check with the health department, there was no special things that we had to do other than making sure the pit was empty. You know, we have to do that in the middle of the winter anyway, so it's been drained, you know, that's part of the normal operation cost. So I know a couple of meetings ago, that was a high priority, that we just need to get rid of those toilets. They are just, not only they're probably not safe, but they also are very over.
Yeah, I mean, the next door neighbor to the pit toilet at Old Settlers,
Oh,
if the
sure.
wind was blowing in the right direction, he hated
It's
it.
not a heavy camp.
So I don't know if anybody's had a discussion with him about removing the toilet as it is and replacing it with porta potties, because that's the plan, is to put down a new pad and put porta potties at that same location. It might be beneficial to have a communication with him and just get his feelings about it.
Sure, if you give me some contact information, you know, you can certainly email me and I'll be happy to call.
Just send him the contact.
Yeah. And that the contract calls for it to be, you know, demolished 3 feet below the surface. So you won't even know it's there. They'll be filled with sand and they'll be gone.
I did take the advantage of talking to someone in my family that's an expert in wastewater. She happens to be a civil engineer. She says, here's all you need to do. Just make sure the health department's happy. So, okay. We got it covered. So, thank you for that staff for moving along. So,
Okay.
I forgot to mention in your packet, you know, in relation to the grant, you saw a copy of the grant, of the resolution that we will.
Item 2, review and reaffirmation of DTE Henry Foundation tree planting and 3-year maintenance agreement.
I know this is something that y'all know about, you're aware of, but you know, I know at the last couple of meetings that that you all did not really take any official action as it relates to doing this. The previous board commissioners did approve moving forward with this. Here is the 3-year agreement, you know, and what we will have to be doing, you know, to make sure, mainly to make sure the trees get watered on a regular basis, and hopefully with the group that comes in and the program that's going to be put on by the Relief of Michigan, you know, that we'll have some volunteers that be willing to come out and help make sure the watering continues to take place. I just want to give you folks a chance to see if, you know, if you want to take some sort of action on it to give your support or whatever, it's up to you. You know, but all these trees were intended to be placed down in Veronica Valley. They'll be done sometime this spring, and DTE is committed to doing it, so.
I mean, I talked to someone in the Northport community, because you've done this relief program considerably up there. He says, you know, they got volunteers to do it. My thought is, if it's a matter of someone being able to haul water over to the park to water the trees, I know there's orchardists in that area that have got the equipment to do it. If you want to pay them a few bucks to come over and water the trees for them.
Yeah, we'll figure that
I'll
out.
figure it out. So anyway, I mean, so I mean, when the question was first asked, would we want to accept any trees over some trees, or new trees to go in at Veronica Valley, I said, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of wetlands area in that park. So you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about watering the trees, because if you plant them, you know, the shipwreck bridge, stuff like that, that whole area is wetlands kind of, so I wouldn't think there'd be an issue with
That may
watering.
happen, so. But anyway,
So,
you know, because this board never really took official action, although the question was asked.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone has said, oh, sounds like a good idea, you know, trees. You wouldn't want to have, but it's up to you. And as long as I brought it before you, I feel comfortable. If you want to take it some sort of action, that we reaffirm your. But it's not going to happen until the spring. Everybody was being pushed, so.
now there's no additional action by the Board of Commissioners required to go
Not
ahead
at
with
this point,
the
no.
project.
No.
Right?
No.
What's your opinion, Keith? You want to affirm an
I
affirmation?
mean,
vote?
if it's not a burden on the parks or anything else, if this entity is gonna take care of it all, then plan them.
Well, I mean, the DGE and their relief group don't take care of necessarily everything. Especially this water and this 3-year maintenance program. That's
Right.
that becomes our responsibility to do, and the chairman is gonna have to sign the approval for the 3-year
Right.
program, that we're gonna do the 3-year maintenance program.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's not necessarily risk-free at this point to do it.
yeah. Again, if they plant them in the right spots back there, you're never gonna have to water it.
Well, our arborist will come in and actually identify the locations for the 20 trees.
Okay.
It's not just, let's throw 20 trees in.
No, there's a plan where they get located.
I mean, there's an
Okay.
actual arborist who comes in and does that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody feel a need to do an affirmation vote of this committee to say we affirm the previous position of the Board of Commissioners, or the decision of the Board of Commissioners?
All right. Well, I just wanted to put it before you. That's it.
Okay, discussion of projects for possible grant applications and requesting proposals from MCSA Group in preparation of possible applications. Okay. So like I said, the one grant that I know we want to have out there is for the Veronica Valley Pathways. We have an estimate in this capital improvement plan for a $6,000 cost to actually have the application put together and filed. MCSA Group is interested in doing that. So for a 6,000 or slightly less cost, who has to approve that, and what permissions do we need?
If that's what you direct me to do, I will take that in front of the county board. And it will have to be, and I'll just let them know that it's going to be coming, but it'll be as an add-on for the 21st. So that, you know, that's how I will proceed with it. And that counts, once I have a formal proposal from MCCS, I can put that in there for them to prepare the grant and take care of it, so.
For that
For that
approval,
particular project and seeking that, and to seek that grant. Because both of them, that the county board will have to approve us going for the grant. And there's a process that sometime hopefully in March, in February or March, then, you know, we'll have the grant application in front of them to approve for us to actually apply. And then sometime in March, it could be submitted. You know, so there's a three-step process we have to go through.
at the point where you're asking for approval to submit an application,
Yeah.
you need to know the estimated cost of the project at that
Well,
point,
yeah. so
which we have in
That's fine.
Tiffany's in the capital improvement plan for 2026
That's fine.
installation, right?
Yeah, I have an issue though with the estimated cost of the pathway being twice as much as I got my estimate for. So that just, to me, that, I hope that doesn't look like it's so expensive that there's a question on that. Because her estimate was 100,000 and my estimate was 49.5 to do the pathway. So I just hope that's not a stepping stone
Well,
roadblock to
Well, but that's how it happens. At least that's the way I understand how these folks do it. They will have to make sure that the numbers that we apply for match up. And what we are going to match it up. So maybe, you know, she might have put in $100,000. I'd rather put in higher and then we don't need it, but they'll have to come back and get estimates or how they do that.
Okay,
So I'm not a grant writer. so-
right. I just don't know the people that are involved, how they look at it, like, where did you get this estimate, you know? I just, you know,
And it may be she got from other things where she's saying, okay, you do a 6 foot wide X, Y, Z, and here's what it takes, yada, 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 and gonna go X amount of feet. I don't know.
okay,
Where does that walkway go?
all around the pond. This is the one that goes around both ponds, the upper and lower pond. Goes up to the bridge and around the pond, up to the parking lot. So it covers everything.
That one is 10 feet wide?
That's the ADA, that's 8 foot wide. So when we discuss going to UA, which would be 10 foot wide. Again, the UA, you have to do more grading. It can't be more than, I think, 2% grade. So they have stuff around. ADA is not as, so a lot of that stuff almost deemed political, you know, just who's to make who's happy, you know, is it look better to be UA all the way around or ADA partial, UA partial?
And I'm sure that's probably what Tiffany, maybe that she was thinking about, you know, the more expensive way. Go on to make a decision, but once again, if you're gonna apply for their money, you're gonna
Yeah.
follow their rules.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
I know Tiffany was talking the 10 foot wide
Okay,
ADA UA qualified path.
Yeah. That's
No
right.
no asphalt, it was this crushed chips
Yeah.
stuff that packs down like asphalt.
Oh, yeah, if you want to see something that's like that, go over to the Boardman Lake Trail, go over to the east side, go to the east side. And the part that's in Garfield Township was that type of material put down, and
it's solid.
it's solid. It's solid, so
Yeah,
it gives you an idea.
I've seen it. It's really nice.
Point of clarification for a new member.
Sure.
A little bit of more information about MCSA. I'm not familiar with them.
That's the name of the organization, the company that we used to put this 5-year plan together. They're a consultants firm.
I'll be glad to give you their bio if you'd like to see it, sir.
That'd be fine. I just didn't know if there was a bidding process, but I knew they were involved in the plan itself. Okay.
And the only time we have to go out for bids if whenever we think of something's gonna be over $10,000.
Okay.
That's according to our purchase, can't remember the title of it, but it's part of it that anything over $10,000 that bid, we can bid this out as, we can do this as professional services. It wouldn't hurt if we did this the first time, using this so we can see how the process works, because I don't know too many times that this county's applied for this type of grants.
I would love to see a bio on the MCSA if you've got one.
We go.
Thank you.
I just give you a copy of their proposal because it's in there.
Great.
And the only other grant project that is out there right now, we've already submitted the application for the disc
Right.
golf.
Ms. Goff, we have not heard anything from the tribe yet, so, or else we would have shared that with you, so. We're waiting.
Actually, I think those awards are usually like March 1st. So individual reports and recommendations from Miles Kimberly.
Let me ask the question. Do you want me to pursue this?
The MCMS, the grant for the.
Yes,
The.
I need a motion.
Okay,
I make a motion that we pursue the grant writing for the Guanaco Valley pathway.
Okay.
Second.
there's a discussion on that.
Okay, that's fine. Who said it first? I'll give it to you.
I said so.
Yeah, because you know, you haven't had one yet, so.
Okay, discussion?
Yes, I think the 10 foot wide is appropriate for what we need in that scale. there's not that kind of proposed kind of traffic. And I feel that doesn't fit the scale. Of 10 foot, I mean, that's like a driveway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why there's two separate, ADA and UA, why we have to have two separate organizations involved with that, but yeah, I believe 8 foot wide is fine. As far as the grade, I don't know what grade minimum ADA is versus UA. I just know that UA says it's like 2% or less.
2% is common.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm fine with doing 8 foot all the way around, just ADA compliant.
Well, part of this, we may need to have Tiffany come in and do a broader education of what's the difference and what's the value.
Yeah, that's fine.
If we get her hired, we'll take it from there. So.
Yeah, she'd be professional in that whole thing too.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
This is for 10 foot.
This is a motion just to proceed with a grant application for the pathway at Veronica Valley Park without specifying 8 feet or 10 feet.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
The way I'll be presenting it, that we're doing this, that item will be put on after they've adopted this, because I can't put that on there until they adopt this. So I mean, it's kind of one of those chicken and eggs.
And this says for any project that we want to undertake, we will look at and be as accessible as possible, considering the situation and the circumstances.
And that's correct. And that's where your consultant will come in and advise you, and you can make a determination.
So that's why when I'm looking at the gazebo project, I'm saying it's not accessible, it's not UA, it's not ADA compliant at all because of the stairs.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
And if they try to do a grant, they may not fund it because you're not, I don't know.
Actually, at the moment, Tiffany told me that's not eligible for any grants of any types that she knows of.
Yeah. I don't doubt that.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I will proceed with that, and I will attempt to have it as an add-on to the 21st. So, thank you. That's kind of, I knew you were talking about it, but I just want you to make the decisions. Okay, thank you.
Actually, for this next section, I mean, right now, there is no representative here that about the Miles Kimberly Park, because none of them are part of the board at this point. At Old Settlers, I mean, I really don't have anything there. I'm looking forward to the pit toilet being gone. I know the neighbor will be. And we've already got the pad in on the northeast side for the additional porta potties there, so that's ready to go. I do have one comment for Old Settlers though. Down at the lake shore, there's a derelict broken picnic table and a kind of a log bench thing down there that's also dilapidated and falling apart. Can we put it on the work plan to just get those out of there and hauled up and thrown away?
Make a note of it.
And for Veronica Valley?
The only thing I would add to our quest to, add the gazebo to the whole mix too, but I understand that situation, is the bridge. We talked about this, the boards, the gap between the boards on the bridge.
Handrail?
Hence the handrail. I think the handrail, could be wrong, is for UA purposes, not necessarily for ADA. So again, this is where the experts would have to come in, but they did say the mat that's on the bridge would have to go from edge to edge to be either ADA or UA approved. So that's the only issues I can think of. We do have our youth fishing thing coming up this spring. So that will be discussed later on. Other than that, that's all I can think of.
You had mentioned something about a butterfly monarch.
Yes.
And I just need more information on that, and I could add to an agenda.
I'm still compiling. In fact, this time of year, there's no experts available. Everybody's must be in Florida with butterflies. But yeah, there's some interest on it. Some people mentioned that it's another, like a birding people that do birding, whatever. I guess there's a lot of people that are into the butterflies.
That's really did that because I didn't get around to saying I need more information.
I'm still compiling.
I mean, it's more for these guys.
Yeah.
Get a full position.
You got some good milkweed planting areas?
That's the number one thing, and I guess there's other things that go with it, so I'm
Put in
still.
an acre or two of milkweeds and you're gonna have butterflies.
I don't know if you saw the article, but the monarchs are a little bit in trouble.
Yeah.
So. I saw that after I saw yours. I went, oh, there's a relation.
Yes, there you go.
All right. So now I'm back to public comment. If there's anybody in the public that would like to make any additional comments at this time, feel free. Yes, Alan.
Just want to say, I didn't know, I thought that deadline was February 1st. That was my concern on the whole thing. And I didn't see in your agenda that was coming up and that you guys were moving forward on it. And I agree with Keith on combining the two. That's just my opinion and consider it. Thank you.
Anything else? Any staff comments from you, Richard?
No,
I
I
have a
think
quick
I've
one.
done all my damage.
Can I do a quick one, Richard?
Commissioner comments? Oops,
I
I'm
have a
sorry.
real quick one.
Ron's got a question.
If I can. So maybe just as a overview of the grant policy, it is available on the website and I'd be happy to circulate it to the commission just so that we're all on the same page with it. Because it was amended in 2024. So there are some changes on how the county has decided to not only apply, because we know if you've applied for grants in any way that the application is like the easiest part. It's what comes after. It's the reporting and the requirements associated with the grant. So just a real quick overview. If there is a grant we want to apply for, it has to be deemed financially viable by the finance department because it puts obligations on the county and on staff and on you as a commission. So it needs to be examined and looked at, which is why the timeline of these needs to be backed out quite a bit in order to get it approved, be deemed as, yes, we can obligate you and the staff to apply and commit to the reporting with these grants. And then it goes to the Board of Commissioners and then we apply. So I'll be happy to circulate that grant policy to the commission just so that we're all
That's gotta be back
on the
up.
same page.
That's why I want to get it up there. We'll get the rules of the grant, what that process is, get in front of them. And see if they're okay with us starting that process. But you're right, April 1st is quick. But
If you want to apply for something April 1st, it needs to get in front of the board
now,
ASAP.
that's why it'll be there as an add-on on the 21st.
And that's another reason it might be really helpful, even just in the short term, to use the brain and expertise of Tiffany with MCSA, because she's very plugged in with what grants would be available to us and the timeline on that. Just until, even until we are really confident or we have a staff person or we're ready to take that obligation on ourselves, because it is not just great. It's February 1st, we're applying. There's a lot of things to consider if we're going to be taking on the obligation of a grant, not just, yay, we're getting funds. So again.
For example, if we're going to specify a match, you have to identify the fund the match is going to come out of.
Yeah, and we would know that.
Reserve.
Correct, yeah.
Mhm.
And all that plays into it, but you're also not just looking at, okay, we got the money, we just built this path. What's the long-term obligations of that path? Do we have the resources to make sure that path stays in good shape? There's all that stuff that we have to go through, so that all of a sudden the board did not want to get caught and all of a sudden said, man, that's great, we got this done. Oh, that's going to cost us X to maintain it. We just got to make sure we have our ducks in order, and that's what they wanted. And this all came about because of another grant that went out there and got by surprise. And the county has been written up for the last 2 years through their audit because they did not have a proper grant management policy in their place. So we're trying to do this in such a way that the auditors are happy with how the county processes. And so that's what we're doing. So, but when I heard this and here, and I said, okay, I know this, that's why I put this particular item on the agenda. If you want us to pursue it, if I can pursue something you're not ready for, but if you are, then we will get that proposal, and I'm just gonna let them know on next Tuesday morning that under my reports that they have this, they would like, if you approve this, then they would like to move forward with this, and it's gonna be on your agenda next week to move forward with that. I'm just gonna let them know. Okay. You know, so because of the quickness, how we gotta do that, so. Okay.
Any additional commissioner comments at this time? Becca?
No.
Keith?
I have a point of clarification, and maybe Lauren can answer this. We're talking about grants and for in-kind support. Is there a nonprofit associated with the county to accept individual or business contributions
Yeah.
towards match or outright?
Well, we can, if someone wants to make donation, there is a policy on how to do that. We do have to get approval from the board to accept those grants. Yeah, there's ways that we can do other nonprofits, if they have folks out there that want to make a donation to go towards something, we can do that.
And that would be an additional question for finance department, if it is a restricted donation meant to be used in a very specific way,
Yeah.
or if it is a, please use it as you wish. Either way, it does need to be it needs to go in front of the Board of Commissioners to accept
I think
the
it's anything
donation.
over $500 has to go in front of the Board of Commissioners to formally accept, I think.
I would have to confirm
Yeah.
with our
I
finance
know we've
department.
got one on the agenda for Friday. Did you say it in there?
Yeah, in the budget policy for 2025, number 17 is all donations received in excess of $500 need to be approved by the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah. Oh, good, you got that. That's where
Yeah,
it is.
and that it outlines a couple other details right there too.
There's a process. I haven't had to go through that yet, so I don't. No one's given me anything more than a couple $100. I mean, you got $501 you'd like to.
Just to test it out.
Well, let's test out the systems, yeah. Okay, but we do have one on our agenda for next Tuesday. That's going to the sheriff's department, so I get to see how that works. So.
John, anything from you? Nope. Okay. Welcome new members. Hope you're looking forward to getting some work done on this thing, getting our parks where they need to be.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
We're here. You too. Meeting's adjourned.
Draft.
Yeah, I read it.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah, I just was, I'd seen those entries about 500, but I'm thinking about particularly when I'm talking about gazebos or whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to get.
I think we
local,
met Mr. Stier.
Individual and business contributions.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So you had bars, I don't know, someplace.
Everybody else is asking, I don't know why we should.
Yeah. I agree.
Hell, Stier.
You get it, you get it.
Why does that mean something?
There's another family of Sayers.
Oh, no, like, I don't know what they do, or how I know it, you know.
Well, they have.
We can make a decision of how to run the
Early 20s.
That's a whole different.
And she's been around.
So we're gonna probably have that on the agenda for February. If we want to get it done
I don't know,
this year, I gotta get an RFP out there before.
Well, the question comes down to is, yeah. Okay.
Did she have a map of the pathway proposal for that grant?
The wife would make one. Is that the map?
This is
Well,
the,
Let me hold on to that.
That was the proposal.
that's the estimate.
Okay.
At 8 feet wide.
I believe that is the 8 feet wide one.
You and I will argue about it.
Don't lose it.
I still love you though.
I love you.
I do love you. I just don't want you in trouble. Yeah, you and I got enough troubles as it is. I got a wife, 5 daughters. I don't need a commissioner.
One thing that she, I don't know if she added to it, but she talked about putting the pathway up to this little.
Well, what we'll do is that, what I'm gonna do is send this stuff over to her. This, of course, we have an 88 account. Whether you want to do it 8 foot wide or a 10 foot, no, whatever you want to do, that's fine. Well, let's get her in here to say, you got option A or option B. Option A is gonna cost us this option.
How many linear feet at 8 feet
You know,
wide,
but-
how many linear feet at 10 feet wide, and
And that's what,
that's
that's what, you know, she gets her prices from wherever, maybe she got her prices out of, you know, she's at her hurry trying to get things put together, she got them all, okay, wait, I got this guy right over here, your price is maybe more down, I don't know.
Yeah, see, this easy, he's got the grading and everything.
And always ask for more than less.
Excuse me?
Always ask.
Well, that's what you're saying.
Say
A lot
it.
more.
Yeah, I can see 3,000 more. but all this is-
Well, I mean, she's also gonna.
I'm just so over it already. I'm just over it.
Contingency and whatever. Everything
I mean,
is,
10 degrees makes a big difference.
you know,
Well,
if
yeah.
if a
It's down
10
below
foot
20.
will do a heck of a lot.
Even
more
20
than
is
an
cool,
8
you know.
foot. And it's not gonna make a whole lot of
Ready for
difference in
spring.
the world.
It's only January.
Right.
That's
What does
why-
that tell you?
But you know, when you go out for these bids, you can do a bid for 8, you can do a bid for 10
Have a good day.
as an alternate,
Thank you.
and all of a sudden you have, consider which one you want to go. Because I do that now, okay, cool, what's an alternate bid, I want this.
Yeah.
Never mind, too much, never mind, we'll just take the base bid. Okay.
Well, this is 10 feet,
Yeah.
just about.
Yeah, it's,
And then
It's
it's,
a pretty wide path.
It's a pretty wide path.
you're dealing with wheelchairs too.
yeah.
Turning around.
But
Well,
still, that's a lot of path.
supposedly a flat piece supposed to be out of you for a wheelchair.
If they're going the same direction.
I said, supposedly.
Then they should be able to turn.
And you know, there was a committee that decided 10 foot was the proper width.
I mean,
I don't know, I'm sure there was a committee.
That's
Oh, yeah.
45-inch door.
yeah.
I just like that combination of combining them because of when the money comes. Life of one man.
Me too.
Well, I just been trying to, I have an idea of how it works. And
Yeah, we're
I'm
actually in a really good
here's what we're gonna do, we're gonna see this,
position.
blah, blah,
Strong
blah, blah.
administration,
So you know what's coming,
facilities
guys,
and
that way you're not
facilities.
surprised, but I gotta make sure I have that. I can't get everything put together fast enough. No, like I said, I'm, that's what I'm trying to do.
What does that mean?
You and I chat for just a second.
Yes, sir.
And I will not drink any more here, Greg.
Well, you know,
I gotta
yeah.
go.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
No, I'm not-
Have an end of 2025.
You are-
Not,
Yeah.
you know.
Then it's hard to justify your
just
committee.
We need to do something, you know. Didn't that happen in the?
Yeah, because that's all I'm trying to do.
Let's just check. I want to go down this road. Exactly.
It's either the school or the letter, but I think it's the school. Yeah, and I think they started. Get involved in
Design it.
Yeah, I'm not
Maybe
feeling
they
it
just
all.
started.
On there.
Appreciate
your
They just, they had to start us somewhere. Yeah. But I had to not part of the.
That's
Survey. I did that survey too, and I love seeing the results in there. But like, you know, say, oh, we want this pickleball court, we want this dog court, we want this maintains it, this thing. So then we still have to like look down the road and say. Maybe in the summer. Even the trees, the trees, even the trees.
Suspend, but it's not
So nice.
one
Yeah.
surface.
And it's awful, you know, it's like, it's like getting a new puppy.
Right before.
Yeah. Thank you for your help, I appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you.
He was going to bring all of this stuff over. I know that. And actually put it in the ring.
Right.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that stuff has to all be taken into account if you want all these things. And I know, if you, Northern Canada, they have these, they're basically cement. And that's where the hockey rinks are. And so
I know you're looking.
it can be done.
I saw that when I saw you out there. I did.
As far as the gazebo.
And I don't want it to be the.
We talked about refurbished.
Yeah.
Stepchild.
Replace or refinish.
I don't want that either.
Right now,
All right,
it's
so
80,
we'll have
90,
our
80.
Yeah, you will. All right, drive safe. See you
Correct.
later.
My question is, can I come in,
Mhm.
take the skirting off,
Right.
put beams across on jacks, cut out the substructure, and lower the whole thing down to the.
I don't know what's underneath. I don't know how it's set up.
I mean, if it's-
Because the reality is, real easy. We work with Cedar Forest Products, which is a company here in Michigan, they're out of West Allis. And when I saw the numbers of 60 to refurbish,
Even if you didn't apply for this grant
they need some help.
this year.
That's not right.
I think that-
But I
That's all the
understand.
number- Those are, again, that's Tiffany's numbers, I think, too high.
Right, they are.
Well, no, the 60 might be right for the refurbishment. I was-
You could
I was
probably.
getting a couple contractors in around.
So I was gonna ask you, Charles, so the height of it is not as relevant as the way it's set up, because a lot of gazebos are put more at ground level as opposed to a raised platform.
Right, I mean, this thing is now, it's gotta be 50 years old.
Right.
It was built as a band thing.
Well, and then they've got the seating that's kind of set up for maybe ministry or whatever.
Yes, I mean, that's the way it is, but
Right.
I'm just trying to think of alternatives. I like the look of the existing gazebo.
Sure,
So
sure.
if I can keep the existing look and just drop it. So.
Yours currently has more of that set up, and the roofing could be.
And then this is scalloped and.
Right, right.
For a match.
Right.
You can utilize it down.
Yeah. Yeah, that solves your ADA compliance for sure. You know, whether that structure at the age that it is worth cutting and laying down, I don't know.
I don't know. how much it
Trust
costs
fund.
compared to
Right.
replacing it.
Right. But we've got skill set. I mean, I've got plenty of passionate people that I work with on all of these types of things. With the right amount of input and asking the right questions, we can give some really clear guidance to get you to dollars and numbers that make sense to meet the intended result. So excited about it.
All right,
Here's me.
thank you. Yep.
You're welcome.
For the first one, to see how it this together. That's the trick.
We're gonna need you.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who's in charge of that just finished a great big story.
Thank you, fellas.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Appreciate it.
Well, you'll see me arguing with anybody around here. This next-
Oh, I wasn't thanking you for that.